So for promotions, grants, and awards, I do recognize that these are the metrics that many of the academics sitting on panels will understand. So, I mean, when we go through, I was promoted in the last cycle. So when we went through the college panel, I knew the college panel was going to kind of understand my discipline, but I also knew that, the people reading it higher up might not necessarily have the same familiarity with the way my discipline works. So I do include the kind of standard metrics, the Scopus citation counts, a Web of Science, and anything I can find there. But I like to kind of contextualize and supplement it with a little bit of a narrative account explaining, probably not in a long-winded way like I did just now, but explaining the limitations of those numbers and metrics, and then adding some kind of qualitative evidence alongside the metrics. I think that's probably the key difference in the HASS disciplines, is just thinking more expansively about what counts as evidence. We don't necessarily have an overwhelming amount of quantitative evidence we can use, but there's enough qualitative stuff that you can use if you're willing to dig for it. So, I mean, it felt very immodest to say that Review of English Studies article was the most read for, I think it was 4 months. But there's also a reason I know that. I actually keep a Word document on my computer where anytime I see a citation that I haven't seen before, I copy it down. So because, like I said, Scopus doesn't index books, but I am seeing my work, especially now that my book is out, I'm seeing it cited in other books. So I keep a file of that, and then I'm able to kind of add that to those citation counts when I'm working on a promotion application or a grant application. I think the other thing in HASS fields is that we have other kinds of impact. I published on Amelia Lanier in Studies in English Literature in 2015, and then when Shakespeare's Globe commissioned a play about Amelia Lanier in 2018, I wrote the program note. They invited me to write the program note, I think as kind of a young scholar who was working on this poet, and so that piece of writing, while it wasn't a formal piece of scholarly writing, that reached a huge audience because everyone who went to the Globe for the time that play was running at the Globe saw it, and then the play transferred to the West End. And so then all these West End audiences were reading my work, and I don't know if that necessarily caused them to go back and then read my scholarly work on Amelia Lanier, but at least it kind of got a little bit of a flavor of it out there. So I keep track of those things too. But I think, it just involves a little more manual record keeping for us. Yes. Yeah. And the alt metrics go hand in hand with social media. I've found that Twitter is really good for driving alt metrics. And you can use Twitter to kind of link people directly back to the publisher site. Then they can download it, which then increases your alt metrics more. So it's a good way of kind of gauging, that other kind of, they call it an attention score. So it's not, it's not a citation count, but it is telling you how many eyes are on that piece of writing. And it's kind of amazing when you see it, when you see, 2,000 people read this, like that's more than I expected.